You've been constantly told that the more you give, the more effort you put into that relationship, the more acceptable you become. But reality doesn't reward that version of you. Instead, it drains you. The women who actually understand the power of detachment, these women are respected, desired, and are in control of their emotions. They have feelings but are not controlled by it. They care but are smart enough not to overgive. They are detached, not cold, not heartless, but strategic. If you don't understand this, you would keep over-investing in people, situations, and in opportunity that are not for you, and will eventually reduce your power. Today, we are breaking down exactly why detachment is powerful and how some of the most strategic women in history and today have and still use it to dominate their environment. So in this video, we will discuss what detachment is, why it works, the psychological explanation, the benefits of its application, and how to apply it in reality. Hi, I'm Jay. Welcome to She Upgraded. I like to break down the strategies used by successful women, both past and present, and the rationale behind their thinking, and how we can harness it by learning what works and mistakes to avoid while becoming the women we intend to be. You can hit the like button if you've learned anything or if you want it to get to the right people as it should, and make sure you subscribe if this is your place. Detachment is not about reacting impulsively, it's about controlling access to your emotions. According to the 48 laws of power, especially laws 17 and 36, law 17 talks about keep others in suspended terror, cultivate an air of unpredictability. People are always trying to read the motive behind your actions just to score points against you. Law 36. Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. The more attention you give to something, the more power it has. Detachment creates psychological distance, and distance creates power. To sum this up, detachment is being calm, aware, and deliberate. Detachment works because of these three core principles. They could be more, but I understand these three best. 1. Scarcity bias. People value what feels limited. When they cannot get to you as they will love to, they naturally begin to respect you, and because the environment you have created has forced them to. 2. Emotional regulation. One of the reasons why women could come across as weak, especially when it comes to things or situations that they should take a stand on, is because a lot of women do poorly at controlling their emotions. When you can control your emotions, you are indirectly controlling the interaction and where it is headed. This is why emotional regulation equates authority. 3. Projection. Human beings like assumption. This is why when you say less, people project more. Mystery has its way of allowing others to assign value to you. Why you should learn to detach. 1. When you're detached, you become better at decision making. Most women do not lose in boardrooms or relationships because they lack intelligence. They lose because they make emotional decisions in high stakes moments. An instance is when a woman is in the middle of a life-changing transaction and she gets a message from her man that he needs a break from the relationship. You can instantly see that her face changes, her mood swings, and if she was bubbly before that text came in, she lets all of that go away and become distracted by that text. When you're able to detach what happens in your home from what happens at your business, you will notice a shift, which is usually positive. This is why men are winning in those areas and women are still falling behind. These days, there are quite a number of women who have realized this and are working at it. However, not enough. Let's look at Cleopatra the Seventh. It's quite laughable that there are people who think Cleopatra was a woman driven by romance. That's not correct. If the story we have read about her are true, Cleopatra was always calculating. When she aligned with Julius Caesar and then later with Mark Antony, it wasn't about love foremost. It wasn't even desperation. It was strategy. She knew Egypt's survival depended on Rome, so she used charm, presence, and ultimately emotional intelligence. She was not blindly attached. Her decision was based on what she was looking to gain from it, especially for her people. When Mark Antony began losing power, Cleopatra reassessed the situation and adjusted. Even her final act, which is often romanticized, was because she didn't want to be paraded as a symbol of defeat. What made Cleopatra powerful was her ability to detach from the situation when making decisions. There were a few times, of course, she made a mistake, but ultimately, that was it. 2. Detachment makes you unpredictable, and that creates power. If your reactions are predictable, you are easy to manipulate. Detached women are hard to read, and it makes them powerful because people cannot see through them. So they cannot be controlled. People cannot control what they do not understand. Let's look at Elizabeth. Elizabeth was a master of emotional control. She did not rush into marriage despite the pressure because she understood that was going to reduce her power, considering the position she was at that time and the era. Even very importantly, she did not have a lot of people who were genuinely on her side. So she was smart to beat them to the game. She made it seem like she was interested. She entertained suitors. She built alliances but never committed. She kept powerful men waiting. So they were interested and even very much invested because they could not predict what was to come when it came to her and what will become of the situation. So that's what kept them interested. And you see, that uncertainty gave her leverage, just as we discussed previously from the 48 laws of power. When you show less interest than others, you control the situation. Elizabeth wasn't avoiding love. For her, that was the best way to protect her position. 3. Detachment keeps you in control of your image and energy. When you're quick to emotionally react, you have no power. You would always overshare information, you would always over-explain yourself to others and overreact every time people poke you. Detached women conserve their energy. This is important when building influence. Let's look at people like Rihanna. If you watch her interviews, you will notice how she pauses. She's not trying to rush to impress you with her answers or over-explain the situation. When she gives a response, you can tell that she's trying to stay in control of the response, and because she's always looking out for herself first. She could care less if you're satisfied with her answers. I noticed this with Kendall Jenner as well. Compared to the rest of her sisters, she displays less emotion and she controls her visibility, and this makes her stand out. Also, Thames. Thames is another good example. She does not flood the social media. She does not over-engage online. You see, that silence, that calm demeanor builds mystic. She is not confused about her brand or who she is because she has detached herself from what people would rather have her do. And this keeps her in control of her life and the energy that she carries. 4. Detachment increases your perceived value. The more you hold back, the more people lean in. People respect what they perceive as valuable. Have you noticed how women who are not trying to perform just for likeness, they tend to be the women who people assume to have some sort of power or influence? If you haven't heard of her, you're welcome. Let's look at Queen Amina of Zauzau. She didn't build her reputation by seeking approval. She expanded her territory, she commanded armies and led with authority. She wasn't emotionally available to public opinion. She was focused on the outcome. People respected her not because she tried to be liked, but because they knew that she was effective and it made them think highly of her. We have spoken about women who occupy and still occupy such important position, and you're wondering, how can you apply this to your everyday life? 1. When you're always available, always expressive, even when you have addressed the situation quite a number of times, you're signaling to people that you can easily be controlled. Instead, only make yourself available when necessary and do not address the same situation repeatedly. People know exactly what they are doing. If they haven't changed, it's because they are not planning to, or at least not yet. 2. Shift your focus from what you think others would rather have you do to what you should actually be doing that is important to you. When people notice that you are dancing to their rhythm, they will do everything in their power to keep playing for you. 3. Not everything deserves your reaction. Not every situation deserves your energy. Make sure that if you have to respond, your response is intentional and directed to what really matters in that situation. Everything else is not worth your energy. To learn more about detachment, I did some videos, and make sure you check the description box for the link. You would learn a lot from those videos. See you there.